my phone on mute here.
Are we good? We're doing a cold open here, John. This is straight cold open. And
So,
for everyone who's not watching, so it's John Willis of FreeSpace.
FreeSpace Social.
FreeSpace Social. That's how we're gonna push it. I know it as FreeSpace as like I actually go and onto FreeSpace to detox from other social media platforms. So I'm like, I'm living alone, just me and the freaking animals. And I have to check Instagram, I have to check Twitter, I have to check all these fucking things to, like work stuff. And then I'm like, you know what? I just want to like go and hang out with people without actually having to hang out in person. And then I go over to FreeSpace. I find great articles. I mean, you guys have been up and running for less than a year. Please tell like what like when we talked on the phone the other day, you gave the most envisioned, brilliant analysis of what FreeSpace is and why it's the future of social media. And I was straight in there. So please, like, tell the audience everything they need to know about FreeSpace, because I think it's brilliant and I'm excited.
Okay. Yeah, awesome. So we launched FreeSpace February 1st of last year. So February 1st of 21. And we launched it as a basically as a reaction to what was going on in the United States. We had the election that was very controversial. We had the events of January 6th at the Capitol. And then we had January 9th when President Trump was kicked off of all platforms. And then we saw what we call the conservative purge, where content creators, influencers, and just regular Joe Blow Americans were kicked off of major social platforms. They were deplatformed, shadow banned, you named it. And so our parent company that we have in Dallas, we build white label social media platforms already. And so we were sitting there in our conference room and our phones are blowing up saying, President Trump has been, completely banned by Twitter. President Trump's been banned by Facebook, blah, blah, blah. And we're sitting there going, what the heck's going on here? What's wrong with our country? I mean, I don't care where you are politically. You could be conservative, liberal, you could, worship donkeys for all I care. But, like for me, I'm like, you can't silence a sitting president of the United States like that. I mean, it's pretty jacked up. And so we made the decision literally right on the spot. We're okay, we're gonna get into this mess. I mean, there's a huge disruption in the market. Parler was shut down right around that same time frame. And so we're like, you know what, let's throw our hat in the ring. Let's see what we can do to stir things up. But we wanted to take a different approach.
Okay.
So January 9th, we made the decision. February 1st, we were live in the app stores. And the hardest part, building that platform in 3 weeks, it literally took us 3 weeks to do it, was figuring out what to name it. That was the hardest part, was the name. Because everything is taken, and we were able to nail down FreeSpace, and so we launched FreeSpace, and it was quite the whirlwind. And what we wanted to do when we launched this is we wanted to be a platform that did a number of things. Number one, of course, we didn't want to censor like Parler and some of the other platforms that were out there like Gab and Clout Hub, and then eventually Getter, but that's a whole nother story. But we wanted to, of course, not censor people. We didn't want to start the whole fact checking mess. In fact, I jokingly tell people, like, well, why don't you fact check people? I don't want to pay for it. I mean, that crap's expensive.
Getting other people's opinions on stuff is very expensive.
Yeah, exactly. So we were like, okay, yeah. So we get all the censorship stuff. Yeah, we get all that. But we didn't want to be known as another right-wing echo chamber type of app, like another Parler. We didn't want to be seen as another Parler. What we wanted to do was we're like, okay, if we're going to do this, if we're going to go put our necks on the chopping block, in a sense, with cancel culture and all the other junk that's been going on, we wanted to be able to provide the general public something that they had not really seen before in social media. So we launched our first version of FreeSpace February 1st. And on there, we've gone through a couple different iterations, kind of testing what works and what doesn't work. And we've evolved just in the almost 12 months that we've been live in the App Store. And we've evolved basically or I shouldn't say basically, but based on the events of what's been going on in the world over the last 12 months. And I'll tell you, it's been some crazy freaking stuff that's been going on. So what we've done is we've built this platform to be the solution to, number one, the social dilemma. You know, if you've seen the Netflix documentary and you learn about how social media was specifically designed to be addictive, and how it's perpetrated the increase of cyberbullying, teen suicide, literally a what do they call it? A civil war with regards to political, not only in our country, but around the world, where you're having ideologies clash because you have one that controls the narrative through the platforms, and then the other one that's trying to say, no, this is the actual truth here. And then they're banned and censored and all that. So there's been quite a big mess that's been created by big tech. And so what we wanted to do is we wanted to say, okay, well, we've got all this negative stuff that we know that social media offers. Why don't we try to turn the tables and offer something positive? So myself, my partner, Dean Gray, I have a couple other partners, Jakub Boyens, who you'll see him as a commentator on the Blaze network. He's actually just launching a new TV show on the Blaze right now. And then we have a few other partners that are part of our team. But we came up with this concept for FreeSpace, where we wanted to be a platform that was built on positivity, to be a common sense platform, a platform where people can converse one another, that can post content without fear of being constantly censored, and to actually have commerce, actually run their business. So, you know, conversation, content, and commerce. And those are our big 3 C's with our company. And so what we've seen just over the past few months, we've seen Facebook take a huge turn, in my opinion, a huge turn for the worse, as they are starting to adjust and try to shift culture into an alternative reality world. If you've seen the movie Ready Player One that Steven Spielberg put out a few years ago, if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It's actually an awesome movie.
I'm gonna have to watch it now.
I grew up in the 80s, and there's a lot of 80s references in there. And you know, it's all, whenever you see a DeLorean time traveling vehicle in a car in a movie, you know it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
So there's just no Doc Brown, and that was very disappointing. But anyway, there's my shameless Back to the Future reference of the day.
No, I'm all about Back to the Future, so I love it. We'll keep that as a running theme, I think, throughout. Yeah.
So Ready Player One, the whole premise of that movie is the entire Earth, the entire society globally is completely immersed in a single video game called The Oasis. It's an alternative reality world that's all done by virtual reality, and you know, every single person is in this world. All the commerce is done there. All advertising is done in this world. And people live their entire lives in this alternative reality. So if you're fat and ugly in the real world, you're probably beautiful and buff in this alternative world. Or if you're, if you've got facial deformities, or if you're missing an arm or whatever, you can control exactly how you look and how you appear to the general public in this alternative reality world. And that's exactly what the metaverse is trying to create. That's what Facebook is trying to create, is this fake alternative world, which in my opinion is a world where you can continue to lie to yourself. And so for me, you know, if you've seen how the world has shifted, you know, little by little over time, where lies are now being considered as truth, where common sense is now uncommon, where morality is now considered immoral. And you're seeing a complete 180 flip on society right now. And it's detrimental, in my opinion. And what Facebook is doing is they're basically pouring gas on that fire, and they're saying, we're going to make it even worse. We're going to increase the social dilemma even more. We're going to control narratives more. We're going to control information more, and we're going to control every single aspect of your life, because now you're going to be living in our world.
Yeah.
And I saw an article yesterday about Facebook is patenting some robotic eye. And it's, when I was reading about it, I was like, really creepy. I'm thinking of like this Masonic all-seeing eye that sees everything. But it's basically going to be following and tracking your eye movements, and they haven't said for what reason yet. But it's like, what are they up to? We know that Apple, for instance, is getting into the metaverse world because they're creating their new products is going to be called Apple Glass, which is a pair of glasses that is completely immersed in the metaverse. So wherever you're looking, like if I look at you and I see your blouse, and it will actually tell me where you bought that, how much you bought it for, and I can use my eyes and actually
Oh,
control where
so
I
it's
can buy it right
Matrix.
now. It
It's the
basically is.
Matrix.
Yeah. Except I still can't do any flips or, any John Woo style fighting.
Ugh.
Yeah. So that's where we're going. So with FreeSpace, what we're like, okay, well, we see where that part of social media is going. We don't want to go that way. We
No.
want to go back this way. We want social media to be fun. Like if people, like the number one app right now is TikTok. And the reason why is the algorithms that they have with the videos are catered to you. And so if you like watching stupid people do stupid things, you're going to see stupid people do stupid things. If you like seeing videos of like Jordan Peterson, it'll show you videos of Jordan Peterson. But people spend on average an hour and a half on TikTok, whereas they only spend about 15 to 20 minutes on Twitter. And so TikTok has become more powerful. The way the videos are done on TikTok are becoming more the norm, to the point where Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook have copied it. So in fact, if you actually go on that and you watch how they do their videos now, you can't really tell the difference. It's the same interface almost. So what we're doing is we too are going to introduce videos like that, including stories, live streaming, and a bunch of other stuff on our FreeSpace 2.0 platform. But we're not going to have any of the tyrannical type BS that comes with it. So if you want to post content, you want to monetize that content, great. So long as you're not breaking any copyright laws, you're not posting any pornography, awesome. We'll let you post it. If you want to post an article about this, that, or the other, we're not going to fact check it, because we believe people can figure it out for themselves. Plus, it's not our job to police content, so long as it's not pornographic. But it's not our job to police opinions or to police content that's based on political or religious ideologies. And that's we are a platform. We are not a publisher. We actually try to obey Section 230, unlike the rest of the big tech platforms. So there's a bunch of stuff. I know I just droned on there for a long time, so I apologize for all
Not at all. I mean,
it's falling
it's
asleep.
fascinating. No, I think, well, that was like one of the first things. So a mutual friend of ours, Carl Higby over at Newsmax, introduced me to FreeSpace. And as soon as I downloaded it, I was like, I think he posted it into like a group chat with a bunch of other people as well, actually. But as soon as I downloaded it, I was like, oh shit, this is like MySpace meets Bebo meets Facebook meets Twitter meets Instagram meets all these other platforms, like my Patreon, things like that. Like they're all kind of like integrate into one. And I was like, oh, this is so refreshing. Wouldn't it be great if like everything just got consolidated into one place? And I think you've solved a lot of problems, I think, in terms of usability, because it's exhausting. Like one of the main issues that a lot of my friends have with social media is like, especially those of us who have to kind of depend on it to a certain extent to run our businesses and to like share our content, is A, is this thing going to get me shut down? B, is there going to be like, I wrote an article just before Christmas, and all I did in the article was describe a law that was coming out of New York. It was a bill that had been in session for like 5-6 years, and it was coming up again for consideration. And I was like, no, we don't need this law to even be like a contemplation, let alone be like potentially in this legislative session. So I just described it. I just described the law. I got shadow banned on all my platforms. It went viral, the article. The law actually ended up getting like fully hacked to pieces and like, was pulled from all future consideration because it went so viral, which was great. But I post a picture of it. Like I post the first article and then I posted the second article where I got to follow up and say, we wrote like, I wrote this article, and as a result of this article, this law went away. So we're all saved. And it was about basically putting people in like quarantine camps, for various like health ailments. But the way that the law was written, it was fucking terrifying, actually. Like literally, if you sneezed, or like if you walked past someone in the street who had been exposed to a contagious disease, the governor could come and just like detain you indefinitely.
Wow.
And so I wrote about this. One of my cats is about to join us, and it got shadow banned. So I got shadow banned on all my platforms. And it was a huge hit to, you know, my ability to network, to my ability to make money and to push all my other content that, you know, I'm sure fact checkers wouldn't even give a shit about. And so when I got on FreeSpace, I was like, oh, this is actually really cool. Like, this is something I can engage with. I can use it as a business tool, but I can also use it. It's like, even with LinkedIn, hate going on LinkedIn. I don't know why, but I just cannot stand that platform. And the way that you've set up FreeSpace, it kind of solves for so many of these different problems. And I think it's like, I know that it comes from a really good, wholesome place, like wanting to sort of solve these problems that have been so heavily perpetuated and get people back to reality. I mean, that's what we need right now more than anything else in the world. Like, I mean, I worry about sort of the generation below me, like Gen Z, how I thankfully grew up and I still, like, I had a landline and a, you know, dial-up computer. Like, I remember days before even having a computer. I didn't really even have a proper cell phone until I was in my 20s. But I worry about these younger generations and how, like, sort of normalized they are to, yeah, like fact checking, depending on these social media platforms to tell them how to think, not expanding their ability to access things to think about, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So it sounds like, yeah, you're doing like something along those lines. Sorry, I'm wittering away now. You were at least like explaining something incredibly valuable, and I'm just like, here are my feelings.
I don't even know what wittering means.
Wittering is actually,
it's one of those proper English words.
Yes, well, wittering technically is when, I don't know if you have any pets, but when cats see birds, here she is again. Oh, she's the worst. When cats see birds outside, they go up to the window and they go, they make this like ridiculous noise. That is wittering. So yeah, I'm wittering with excitement about FreeSpace. I think it's really cool. So sort of, what do you guys?
So when you get onto FreeSpace, do you like when it's loading on your phone, do you just sit there and go and make that sound as you're getting ready to go? Or
I think you should use that as sort of your marketing promo. I think it should just be a video of me opening everything up on my phone and just being like,
that would be awesome.
I can do a dolphin noise and get owls to talk to me. You know,
I can just see our commercial now. Hey, join FreeSpace and you'll be sounding like a cat in no time.
Everyone will just be like, what is this shit? And they'll just be like, no, it's fun, guys. Get on it. Just like weird out with me. Weird out with me, huh?
Yeah, I think it's cool. Like, this is just our first iteration. So if you go to the App Store and you actually download it right now, this is just our first version. Our second version, we're building a whole new back end and front end version of FreeSpace that will be out in the next couple months. And it will feel and look different, but it will have the features that everyone's used to on big tech. And, you know, if you go on there right now, it has kind of a Twitter feel to it almost. When you go on there and you scroll through it, it kind of feels like Twitter. You know, we have a really cool discover feature on the ways to discover content and people and such. But I really like our channels section. If you click at the bottom of the interface, you'll see a little button that says channels. And we have like live feeds of news, you know, from like Newsmax or America's Voice, or I think we have Fox News on there and CNN and all that. So we want to cover both sides, because we're not, like I said, we're not just conservative. You know, we want to have everybody on the platform. We want it to be a big tent. You know, we want there to be debates. We want there to be free flow of information from both sides, and then just let people figure it out for themselves. But one of the cool things that we want to do with our platform, that we are doing, I should say, is on our advertising side. You know, if you know much about digital advertising, Facebook and Google control it all. I mean, if there's ever a case for antitrust, it's the Google Facebook monopoly on all digital advertising. And so what we wanted to do is, I kind of view FreeSpace as the Isle of Misfit Toys. Does that make sense? You know, like if you're a company that has never been able to advertise on Facebook because you're not woke enough, or you're just too controversial. Like if you're a gun manufacturer or CBD or whatever it is, you know, something that could be a little too much for certain platforms. We're like, hey, come on over. You know, we'll take care of you. Hey, you got a new gun? Sweet, let's see it. You know, let's
that's
put it up there.
awesome. Oh,
We
that's so
have one
fucking cool.
client. I have one friend who has a business where she makes leggings that hold gun holsters for women, Alexo Athletica. And so we
cool.
did with my other company, we did marketing for her. But you know, for her, it was really hard to actually do digital advertising for her because you couldn't actually show the gun in the leggings. So how the heck are you supposed to advertise a gun holster fitness legging that's similar to like a Lululemon style?
Yeah.
And you can't have the gun in there. And so, you know, we're just getting rid of ridiculous garbage like that. You know, it's like, hey, if this is your company, we want to be the platform to help you succeed. I mean, our goal is to help anyone that wants to make money. And this will help me kind of transition to where we're going with our 2.0 version. So most people, I think your average Facebook or Instagram or YouTube user don't realize just how much money influencers and content creators can make on social media and how difficult it is. Especially if you're in the conservative world. And I'll focus on this for a second, mainly because I have several friends that are content creators that used to have millions of followers, that used to make really good money each month on, you know, like every time they post a video on Facebook, for instance, that's 3 minutes or longer, Facebook would throw an ad and then you would get paid a percentage of that revenue. And, you know, they say that the ad revenue, the rev share is like 45%. I'm like, maybe 0.45%.
Yeah.
So, but you know, I've known influencers that would make 50 grand, 60, 70 grand a month, just on Facebook. But then their rules, it's such a moving target on what's considered approved and not approved, what's monetized, what's not monetized. And it's just a nightmare. And so what we wanted to do is we wanted to create an atmosphere of monetization for influencers where they wouldn't just make money off rev shares, like off ad breaks and pre-roll advertising on videos. But we wanted to create an atmosphere where they can actually have a subscription model to their page. So if you want to subscribe to their page, you got to pay a fee, or if you want to see exclusive content, you can pay for it. Or one of the things that we're working on right now we think is really cool is called paid DMs. So if you actually want to instant message an influencer and actually have them respond, you pay for it, and your message goes to the top of the screen. And so we got some cool stuff, but that's cool for a user's perspective. Like if I want to chat with the Hodge twins, or if I want to chat with Jonathan Miller or whoever it is, I can pay. And they have, in order for them to get paid, they have to open up the message and reply.
Oh, that's so smart.
Yeah. So these different avenues of monetization are great for the users because, you know, they get to see content that normally they wouldn't be able to have access to. It gives the content creators a way to create more exclusive content. Now, I know some of your listeners are probably thinking, well, this sounds a lot like the OnlyFans model. And we're like, well, it kind of is, but no pornography. So that's the one thing, is that we've got the technology to stop that. But
wait, how do you do that? Like, tell me about how, like, the technology to stop that kind of thing.
So we're basically working off a Windows 95 model. No, I'm just kidding. No, we use AI and a bunch of other cool stuff that we've put together in order to catch certain types of content. We can actually tell the context of a post on what the person actually means. Now think about it. Okay, so I had a meeting with somebody last year. I can't say who it was, but you can probably figure it out. And this particular person asked me a question and said, what's the hardest part of owning a platform? Okay. So I won't tell you who it was, but and he goes, what's the hardest part of owning and running a platform? And I said, honestly, moderation's the hardest part. Because when you think about moderation, pornography is easy. I mean, that's the easy stuff to catch. Context is the hard part. Okay. So let's say that you see a photo of a Nazi holding a gun to a Jewish woman's head. Okay. It's a black and white photo.
Yeah.
Someone posts it. No caption. It's just a photo. Does that photo stay or go? Okay. So that's scenario one. Scenario two, same photo, but the caption says, this should never happen again. Okay. So the context of it is, okay, we never want another Holocaust to happen. We never want another government to use force to kill its citizens based on an ideology or religion or whatever it is. Scenario three, same photo, but now the caption says, this should happen more often. So now you have someone calling for more Jews to be killed, or for the Nazi regime or fascism to come back, or whatever. So it's that gray area where we're like, okay, well, we want to be a free speech platform for sure. But at what point do you have to step in and say, okay, that's inappropriate?
Yeah.
Okay. At what point? And you'll see just with that example, the easy option is, okay, yeah, we're never going to allow that third option, because they're calling for the killing of Jews.
Yeah.
Of course, that's easy. But if you want to, if you want to put a post out there that says all white people are racist, or every white person deserves to get the crap kicked out of them because they're white. Like, okay, well, that's free speech. But is the context, is that person actually calling for it? Is that their opinion? And that's where things get really, really tough. Okay. And so I explained that in this meeting that I had. And so, when you look at running a social media platform, it's definitely difficult when it comes to context. And thank goodness for AI that can do all this. But here's actually one thing that we actually did, that we're coming out with our 2.0 version. That's really neat. We have a version of it on our current version right now, but so we have this technology called value reinforcement systems. And what we do is if you go to the top of the homepage of FreeSpace, you'll see two buttons. One says laugh, and the other one says impact. Okay.
I love that. Yeah. Sorry,
So
I love this feature. I'll shut up and let you explain it, because
No,
I'm obsessed with it. But yeah.
Hey, that's good. So the laugh button, it'll bring up different options where you can share a joke of the day, share a prank that you pulled on somebody, share a meme, share a funny video, whatever it is. And that specific action that you're taking by sharing a joke, like my 7-year-old daughter has the funniest jokes ever, because they're all the corny little kid jokes, but she has to tell me a joke per day. I don't know where she got the sense of humor from. Anyway, so like if I were to share a joke onto FreeSpace, I would click that button, click share a joke, and then I would type out the joke, or I would do a selfie video and tell the joke. And then what happens is on our back end system, we actually keep a record of the different actions that you're taking, like how many jokes you shared or how many memes that you shared through this action button. And then you earn a badge, and you earn a badge based on your consistency on sharing those funny, positive things under the laugh button. Flip over to the other one, which is the impact button. And this button is the, what are you doing to change the world button, or impact the world. And so if you click on there, you'll see a donate button where there's various charities that people can donate to. We're really big in standing against child sex trafficking, whereas other platforms facilitate it. We actually fight against it, and we have various code that we have written into our platform that catches it. And so if anyone actually tries to facilitate it on our platform, they're going to jail. So yeah. So enjoy being someone's girlfriend behind bars. Anyway, so we have that. We do take a very active stance against that. In fact, Jaco Boyens, who's the president of FreeSpace, he was on President Trump's anti-trafficking council, and he still fights trafficking daily. I mean, the guy's brilliant. His sister, he's from South Africa originally, and his sister was trafficked by the record label that she was signed by.
No.
And so she won like the South African version of American Idol back in the day, and she was immediately trafficked by her label. It's a horrible story, but she was trafficked for I think 6-7 years, something like that, and then they found her. Luckily, she's doing better now, but yeah, so that got Jaco into it, and he's been fighting it for 20 some odd years. So we wanted to make sure when we launched FreeSpace that was one thing that we were going to take a hard stance against, and so we're not allowing that. But then we also have to give people the opportunity to share acts of kindness that they either experienced or that they did. Just a bunch of good, wholesome stuff that people can share, and then you earn badges for it. And our new version that's coming out, we're going to increase that where people can earn gift cards, coupons, crypto, bunch of other cool stuff.
Wow.
So we're actually incentivizing people to be good. And so, it's a concept that's kind of rare today, where it's like, you know what? It's okay to be a good person. It's okay to have morals. It's okay to be kind to somebody. It's okay to stand for something. It's okay to be different. One of my favorite quotes was actually from one of the leaders of my church. He says, "We all need to try a little harder to be a little better." And I think that's something that we need to really apply in our daily lives. And if our daily lives involve social media so much, well, why don't we figure out a way to incentivize people to do good outside of social media, share it on social media, and then people will be able to say, hey, you know what? So-and-so has been so active on FreeSpace, showing, sharing all the really cool stuff that they're experiencing that's positive. I think I'm going to do that too. And so we want to start these viral trends of people doing good. Like, for instance, you remember the ice bucket challenge, how it, for ALS, how all these people are pouring ice water on themselves, and it raised millions upon millions of dollars for ALS research. That is a positive viral campaign that went out. It was brilliant. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to create mini influencers with your average users based on what they're doing, what actions they're sharing. Now, our new version, our 2.0 version, has it all built in automatically. So you could type in like, hey, I just took my kids to the movies. Well, our AI will read that and say, hey, that's a positive thing. You're spending time with your family, and boom, it will track that, and then you'll earn a badge for that. Or, hey, I just bought so-and-so coffee at Starbucks, or hey, this family, they're struggling, and we brought them presents. And even on the flip side, it doesn't have to be all the good stuff that you're doing. It could be good stuff that you're experiencing. Like, hey, I just want to give a shout out to the stranger who bought my groceries because they didn't realize I lost my wallet, or they didn't realize that I'm literally on my last paycheck and I didn't have enough to cover my groceries. I really want to thank them. Well, our AI will be able to understand the context of that and then reward them for that post. And so it's now going to be integrated rather than where you have to take multiple steps to share these type of things.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing. We got a lot of cool stuff coming. I think, well, we've even got stuff that's not social media related that's coming out here very shortly. We just put a huge partnership together this week that we'll be announcing here, that will truly revolutionize the healthcare industry. So that's coming out. Can't give any details on that, but it'll be really cool. And then we're talking to some pretty amazing people right now. One of the things I wanted to do, or we wanted to do, I shouldn't say I, but we wanted to do when we put our team together, was on our advisory board. We wanted to make sure that we had everyone well represented, and we're building that board as we speak right now. But I'm the type of person where I want to surround myself with the best, because I know I'm not the best. I know I'm not the smartest. And for me, it's like, okay, well, if I'm going to be the CEO of this company, I want to make sure that I surround myself with people that I know can lift me up and help me. Kind of like in the Bible where Aaron and was it Joshua that were holding up, not Joshua. Was it Joshua? Yeah, they're holding up holding up Moses's arms because he was too weak to stand. Um, I want to make sure that I'm surrounded by people that, keep me in check, that keep me honest, but also to help run this company the right way. And I think what sets us apart from most platforms, I shouldn't say all, because I know there's great platforms out there, but I really wanted our values to speak for themselves. And, it's just like, you ever heard that term, like you want to live your testimony, if you're religious, you want to live your testimony, and people will know how you truly, what you truly believe by how you live your life. That's kind of how I want FreeSpace to be, where FreeSpace, where our actions and our non-actions will speak volumes. And I think with the values that we set as a company and the values that we set as an executive team, will really bleed through. So the first person I brought onto our advisory board was Dr. Ben Carson. And so Dr. Ben Carson, I had the opportunity to have breakfast with him and his wife Candy at their house in Florida. And I've met a lot of smart people, but it's very rare to meet wise people. And when he speaks, he's very soft spoken, and when you're talking to him, like for me, I'll just talk a minute. I don't know when the heck to shut up. But for him, he'll just sit there quietly, and his eyes will be closed because he's figuring out what to say. And then when he says something, it's so profound. You're like, holy cow, that was amazing. And the way he talks about what's happening to our country, and I'm not just talking about politically, but I'm talking as culturally, where it seems like we're just becoming a cesspool of crime, of immorality, of just flat out dishonesty. The way he speaks about where we could be, is truly amazing. So I'll tell you this quick experience, and then I'll shut up. I was having lunch with a friend of mine yesterday, and he's from another country that's very corrupt. And he says, I really want to save my country. And he has the means to actually do it. And he says, I really want to save my country. He said, how do I do it? And I said, well, in order to control politics, you got to control culture. In order to control culture, you got to control information. In order to control information, you got to control media. So FreeSpace is the answer. that's what I said. And I laughed because I was kind of telling a joke, but then when I thought about it, I'm like, well, wait a minute. So if FreeSpace could be a media source, and it could be the information source, and it can help shape culture in a positive direction with how we build the platform, that could actually be a way to help save a country, because social media is now the primary media. People watch the news second to social media.
Yeah.
And so if we are going to be able to help save our culture, and I don't mean to sound altruistic or, have like this godlike complex of what we're doing. I hope you people understand that. That's not my intention.
No, you're the most humble person I've ever met in tech. Like, I actually swore off all tech involvement in everything technological, social media, like 2 years ago. And like you've dragged me back in. I do have some questions, but no, like definitely not a God complex. Think like quite the opposite. Like, I think one of the reasons that we were put on this planet is to, to a certain extent, walk in his image, if not entirely. And a lot of people have completely deviated from that. I think we have such a disconnection from God. And I personally think that is one of the biggest reasons why we have so many. I mean, like, I track the data, right? So I can actually draw a line between, limiting religious involvement and kind of faith, and pretty much all the social problems that you described, plus a handful of others. And, I think our job on this planet is to, always leave it better than where we found it. And I think that's what you're doing. So yeah, definitely not a God complex at all. think it's just like a better purpose than a lot of people. You're not just doing this to like make money and control things. You're doing it so we all, like, everyone benefits. Like everyone benefits.
I look at it this way. My team and I have been given an opportunity to do something earth shattering. And I truly believe, and I won't go into any details, but I'll tell you and your audience this. We have had God moment after God moment after God moment after God moment over the past 11 and a half months. And I fear the day where I do stand before my maker. I mean, I've got enough things I got to stand before him anyways. I mean, it'll probably be a multi-day judgment for me. He's like, hey, we blocked out some time on our calendar for you, big boy. I'm like, okay. But the one thing that I know he'll ask me is, what'd you do to build my kingdom? But also, what did you do with the gifts and opportunities that I gave you? Especially this one. Because, you know, for me, I'm the father of 4 young kids. And I know that, and I actually mentioned this to you on the phone the other day, I know that everything that I'm doing right now is making memories for them. You know, because when you think about your childhood, you think about all the memories that you had with your folks. And I know that the memories I'm helping create for them, I want to be amazing. You know, I want them to be happy memories. I don't want them to think about the hard times, even though, you know, there's always been hard times. No one's immune from it. But, you know, I want to say, you know, when I stand before God, I want to say, I did all that I could. And it was hard, but I did it. And I can't remember who told me this, but they said, you judge the success of a man by how he raises his kids. It has nothing to do with money, has nothing to do with status. It's how his kids turn out. You know, how did he raise his kids? What type of standards and morals did he instill into his kids? What type of work ethic did he give them? I have one of my very close friends and business partners. And I'll put Jakob Boyens in the same thing. He's probably one of the best dads and husbands I've ever met in my life. I got another partner named Rocky who, his kids they're all grown now, but they are just fantastic kids. And I told Rocky and his wife, Jean, I said, you know what? You guys are the most successful people I've ever met in my life. And I said, and I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about those kids right there. I said, that is all you guys. And you guys should be very, very proud. And I said, I hope I can do the same with mine. And so it's that type of thinking, okay, which is really weird, is not normal anymore.
No,
I mean, not. That our society, our culture has gone so far off the track where even having a family, a traditional family, is considered weird. You know what that just came out in San Francisco? I think it was in can't remember what newspaper it was.
Oh, the Chronicle story about like how everyone should raise everyone else's, like, you should give up your kids.
Give up your children. I'm like, there's a reason why I took my kids out of public school. I don't need the government. I don't need, you know, this commune type of mindset of raising my kids. You know, I don't need my kids to be indoctrinated.
Yeah.
And if anyone's going to indoctrinate them, it's going to be me, and it's going to be of good things, you know, wholesome things, moral things. But I mean, if you look at just how bad our society has gotten, and I don't mean to get political, and I'm really trying to stay neutral here, but I have to speak out. When you've got more than 50% of a certain political party that is 100% okay with putting law-abiding citizens into internment camps right now, I've got a problem with that.
Yeah.
When you've got certain people that are calling for unvaccinated people to be arrested because they won't get vaccinated, or calling millions of Americans domestic enemies, I've got a problem with that.
Yeah.
And that has all happened. That type of mindset has become the norm over the last 5 years. And it really makes me nervous for the world that my kids are currently growing up in now. My kids are young. My youngest is 2. My oldest is 7. Where's the world going to be when they're my age? I just turned 40 and I know I need work, but page 1 rewrite right here. But I just turned 40, but it just seems like yesterday I was in high school. I graduated high school 22 years ago.
Yeah.
But it seems like yesterday I was graduating from high school and we didn't have near the amount of crap that kids are going through today. Mm-hmm. And so I'm thinking, okay, what type of world am I building for my kids? And I truly believe with FreeSpace can help build a better world. Mm-hmm. And can help literally counteract what's going on. Now, I know that FreeSpace is in a big pond. We're up against Getter and Gab and Clout Hub and Parler and Facebook and Twitter and all these other platforms and Rumble. But when I look at those other platforms, they're not talking about this stuff. Yeah. They only talk about Trump. They only talk about the election, January 6th. Mm-hmm. We conservatives, we got to take the White House back. That's all I hear from them. Nobody is actually talking about what is the problem and how do we actually fix it. We are talking about it and we're trying to fix it. So.
God. Okay. So I have one question. And part of me in my head, I think I've already slightly answered it, or at least my answer. I know what I would say, but how do you stop people from exploiting the "I did a good thing today" feature / do we need to stop people from potentially exploiting that feature? Because it sounds like to me, like I love a little bit of macro psychosocial manipulation. You talk about, good things long enough, it becomes part of the norm, part of the culture, it's a guerrilla psychological marketing for good, which I love. Like, I think it's absolutely brilliant. Because I catch myself, like, if I look at any kind of social media right before I go to bed, I don't have a good night's sleep because I just stress out about it. But when you have a feature that sort of promotes that good behavior, I guess even if the person posting isn't necessarily being 100% truthful, it still perpetuates that good behavior as an ideology out into the real world. So I just that was the only question where I was like, well, why can't, I could sit there all day being like, I did this, I did that, I did this, I did that, when I really haven't done any of it. And then I get sort of boosted and all that kind of stuff. But then I was also thinking well, I'm not posting it. I wouldn't be posting it for me. I'd be posting it for other people to see, and maybe they would actually do that stuff in real life. But I don't know. Is that something you guys have discussed?
Oh, of course. In fact, we've witnessed it when we had some of our other features turned on originally. Mm-hmm. The easy answer is we can tell. We could tell when someone's BSing or not.
Nice.
And if you are constantly posting, get off your ass and do something besides getting on social media. But nice. I'm sorry for cussing, but oh
yeah, because we don't do that on this show. Don't listen to yesterday's episode. I think I said the C word 100 times.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, all I can say is I'm sorry, Mom. No, we can tell if someone's exploiting the system. I mean, it's not hard, and we've got things figured out on our end when it comes to that, because we're planning on, especially when we start actually monetizing that with gift cards and all that stuff. Of course, we're going to want to, have a plan in place to catch those clowns. So,
God, I mean, my sort of hope is that we can almost transfer people away from Facebook. I remember MySpace. I remember being obsessed with MySpace. I love that I could set my top 6 friends or whatever it was, and find all these cool people and celebrities and bands and stuff, and have that connection. I remember that becoming a thing. And then obviously Facebook came out, and I had a Facebook for a long time, stopped using it. Someone hacked it. I know who you are, and all of the bad things that have happened to you recently. That was because of me. But they hacked it, deleted it. And it was the best thing that ever happened. The only reason
was it Carl Higby?
Yeah, can you imagine if I tried to fight Carl? I think I am smaller than one of his like biceps. Like he eats more food than I am food every single day.
I'm pretty sure he eats live animals. So
oh yeah, I'm pretty sure too. Hi,
Yeah.
he'd eat you, but you wouldn't even be a snack to him. I don't know. But can you just stay? Oh, this is Miss Thing, because she's a Miss Thing. But no, someone hacked and deleted my Facebook, and then it was great. The only reason I got back on Facebook was because I had to have an account when I started working with the Daily Caller. So I was like, fine, I'll do it. I don't care. Like, you know, one of those. Twitter, same kind of thing. I'm just waiting for them to kick me off. They all like refuse to verify me. And then like I do the new ones as well, just because like, again, I have to for work. But what you've created is sort of like a one-stop shop, which I think also gives people the ability to do more and get away from this kind of like metaverse thing that, you know, the internet's trying to create. I understand why people would maybe want to go into the metaverse, but it's one of the like, I think it's a mental health condition. Like if you want to escape reality that much, I mean, I don't understand really the difference between putting on a pair of glasses and disappearing into this fake narrative of what existence is. Like those are the same kind of neural pathways that get developed when you're addicted to like heroin, or to maybe not meth, because meth is a whole other thing. I don't even know what meth is these days. I hope one day we look at the meth crisis in this country in the same way as we looked at the crack epidemic, but that's for a different show. We'll talk about that. But I can completely sort of see those like parallels of lulling people into this matrix, really, this sort of like meta world that doesn't really exist. And I think what you guys are doing, especially like the human trafficking stuff, like that, I think is like, I work with this organization called War Party Movement. And as soon as they're set up as a charity, I'm going to get them on the platform. But War Party really focuses a huge amount of their efforts, not just on rescuing women from these situations, but going through the rehabilitation process. So I don't think people realize like A, how easy it is to fall into those systems, and B, how difficult it is to actually get through it and get your life back afterwards. And so to know that like that much heart and that much soul and that much kindness is going into something in tech, like, you gotta be joking. No, that's not a thing, but it is a thing, and you guys are doing it. I'm so bummed where I'm out of time and I have to go into my next bloody work thing, so I still have so many questions. John, could you come back another time please and keep telling us like, oh wait, that's my okay, I have two quick questions before I let you go. When can we expect 2.0, and is it next week that this big surprise awesome thing that you're doing that you won't tell us about? Like, when do we find out about this big exciting thing that you're doing?
Probably the next couple of weeks. We'll put out a big press release, and you know, we'll put that news out. I mean, we basically found the cure for COVID. No, I'm just kidding. That's not it.
I was like,
but
yeah,
yeah,
sure that's one of my other guys on the show, but okay. Yeah.
So no, we'll put that news out in the next few weeks, and then our new platform comes out. We're shooting for April.
Oh, nice. So, perfect. Yeah. Oh, good. We get it out like well ahead of the midterms and just spread like.
Oh yeah, and that's oh yeah, that's the other thing. You know, with our political advertising, you know, if you ever ran political ads or whatever, you know, from you know, if you ever worked for an agency or whatever, you know, it was impossible to get any ads approved on Facebook, and then Twitter banned all political ads. And so we're like, hey, we have an ad platform. Come on over. So
oh, that's very cool. And then so what kind of like, how many users do you have at the moment?
So we're north of 50,000. Nice. You know, like we haven't done any real marketing or anything yet. Mm-hmm. We've just been working out all the kinks, and we're kind of playing the long game right now. You know, there's a lot of platforms out there that have a lot of funding that are, you know, paying influencers a lot of money. And I won't get into the details of that, but, you know, a lot of their followers are fake. If you go to the platform, you realize that their posts were scraped from Twitter and all their followers as well. So we don't pull any of that stuff. You know, we're just in it for the long game, because we want to create something not for just influencers. We want to create something for the general public that they can actually say, you know what, I hate Facebook, but I have never been able to leave it because I haven't found a platform that has everything that I like.
Yeah.
Well, now you do. And you will even more so when we launch our new platform that has all the TikTok style videos. So, and of course, it's going to take some time to get all the content on there. One other thing I want to share, and I know you have to go. So one of our new features that we're going to be launching is the Facebook FreeSpace marketplace. And this marketplace is different than what you see on Facebook, which is like an offer up type of deal.
Yeah.
We are actually going to allow content creators to sell their content on FreeSpace. And so like if you want to put out a music video, or let's say that you're an artist that wants to sell an album, but you don't want to go through the normal distribution channels of your label. So you want to be independent. Well, you could actually sell your album on FreeSpace. We take a small percentage and you get most of it. So like, for instance, most artists make like $2 or $3 on the dollar, or 2 or 3 cents on the dollar, excuse me. Whereas with us, they would probably make 80 cents on the dollar. And so, you know, we wanted to create this new digital marketplace where people can sell stuff and reap the benefits of it. So like I said, we've got a lot of cool things that we've been working on. You know, I've got, you know, just brilliant people on our team, like Dean and Yaku and all these guys. And I think what we have coming out is going to be amazing. But what we have right now is also great.
Yeah.
You know, it's not perfect, but it's American funded, it's American built, and you know, we're proud of what we have. So.
And so you should be. God, I'm so excited for the 2.0 launch. I think I'm probably going to transfer all of my Patreon, everything over to FreeSpace at that point, just because like one of my biggest issues is because I'm so heavily shadow banned on all of these different platforms, like I don't get any growth. I don't get access to anyone. Like pretty much all the growth I have had. Sorry, I got a cat hair in my eye. This is the bane of my existence, which is not a bad one, let's be honest. But like could be worse. But one of the things that has really stunted my ability to kind of grow in my field, you know, I've been a writer for, at this point, it's going to be like 17 years since I was first published, because I used to lie about my age to get published. But I haven't been able to kind of get that growth because of the shadow banning. And I think what you're doing has created so many different solutions, and I'm so excited. And I hope that a lot of people follow me to FreeSpace, because I think it's fantastic. I'll put all the links in the description as soon as we wrap here. And just don't be a stranger. I think we got to get like you and Jeremiah from War Party Movement in the room. I think you guys would have a lot of interesting stuff to talk about. I think it'd be really informative and educational for people to learn about how people end up in sort of like trafficking situations. I think, you know, I think you guys are going to be a huge part of the increase in the Happy Planet Index over the next few years. So I'm so excited, John. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for joining me today. So everyone obviously like needs to go to FreeSpace Social. Where else can we send people today?
Yeah, so just go to the Google Play Store or the App Store and just search FreeSpace Social, or they can go to freespacesocial.app. And that's our website. And our 2.0 version, right now our current version is on phones only, but our 2.0 version will be accessible on desktop. So it's expensive to build this stuff. So they're like, oh, why aren't you on desktop? I'm like, because it costs millions, lady. Freaking Karen. Get your hair did.
I love that everything is American made. That literally made my heart skip a beat. That's beautiful.
Yeah, we're based in the good old Lone Star state of Texas. So, yep.
That's why you guys are so cool. I knew it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well, not me. I'm in Arizona, but everyone else is in Texas. So
we'll forgive you. We'll forgive
yeah.
you for that. No,
Yeah.
I love Arizona as well, actually. Anywhere but
Yep.
California or New York, huh? But
That's right.
John, thank you so much. We'll chat again very soon.
All right. Thank you for your time. Have a good one.
Bye.
All right. Bye.